Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. This is Kamara Daughtry, the creator of Digital Career Opportunities Worldwide. Today we have Lyndsay Christian. You all know her as Professor L. She is one of the instructors and educators uh, for Kristen L. Pope's On Air Academies webinars, and she is fantastic. We are going to bring her on air. Justin, Chance, Lyndsay. Today we have a live Q&A. Lyndsay has over 20 years of experience when it comes to television and broadcast. She's been a producer, she's worked in New York, and currently she is based in Houston, Texas. So ladies and gentlemen, please give your full attention. We cannot wait to have her. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
You are so sweet. I was listening to your amazing introduction. Thank you, Kamara.
Oh, no problem, no problem. First of all, I love your hair. Let me get this
Thank you.
together. Yeah, I can still see you. Make sure my head is not in the way. I like your earrings, by the way. We're going to do something different. We're going to put some glasses on. Say it again.
I thought I'd give you a hoop today.
Yeah, it looks very nice, very nice. How's your day been going so far, Lyndsay?
It's been great, but a little heavy. You know, we're here in Houston, and we've been watching the George Floyd funeral, which happens to be at a church about 5 minutes from my mother's house. So it's been, celebratory, but still heavy.
Right. It's totally understandable. I just would like to thank everybody who's watching. Miss Amy, who is a news director in Texas, Kelsey, Donnie, Jahiria, Destiny, Chance, Justin, everybody, welcome. And if you can hear my audio correctly, please let me know. If there are any issues, please tell us in the comments. We are family. Or if there's a drawback, because I hear that. Let me see this. Let me go out.
Hi, Toya. And congratulations, one of our recent graduates from MSU.
Yes, Latoya. Okay, now I don't hear the feedback. But Latoya, congratulations on graduating. We are just so proud of you. Okay, Lyndsay, let's get into it. There has been a lot going on since Adam Harding, as you know, who is a reporter at ABC in New York, the #1 market in the United States. And, before we were talking about COVID. Now we are talking about the protests, the marches, and a lot of journalists want to know, can they give their opinion?
Before I answer that, one of our viewers, Destiny, said she's hearing feedback.
Okay, that's most likely from me. Let me see. Sound isn't very good. Let me see this.
Okay, sound isn't very good. Okay, we're fixing it. Thank you, Lauren, for tuning in.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how is this? Is this a little bit better? You all tell me in the comments. We are working. You all tell me in the comments. There's feedback. It might be because of the headphones. I've taken the headphones out. You all let me know if the feedback is still the same. But Lyndsay, again, please let us know in the comments how the audio is. We want to make sure that everything.
Okay, Destiny says a little better, still minor. I hear a little bit on your end too.
Say it again.
I hear a little bit of feedback from your end too.
Okay. There's no feedback from yours.
Okay.
So this is what we shall do. Lyndsay, go ahead and get us the topic because a lot of people, they want to hear this. Lyndsay, you tell us, you've been a reporter for over 20 years.
Oh, you're so generous. 10 years.
Oh, excuse me.
10 years. Don't make me that old, Kamara.
You're not, because you don't know.
Thank you.
You tell me, in terms of people giving their opinion, what do you think? We know that a lot of Black Lives Matter protests are going on.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that Black lives, they do matter. They're no more than any other thing. But how can we navigate through social media? What are journalists supposed to do during this time?
Mm-hmm. So I want to address two things. One is social media, and then two is working in the field, reporting in the field. So let's start with social media. Remember that social media is like your online resume. So you would want your resume, your online resume, to represent you, your brand, your image, and anything you post can be held against you. You know those words. Anything you say can be held against you. Anything you post can be held against you. If you work for a station, remember that you represent an organization or a network. So your post, your tweets, your Facebook post, Instagram post reflect that station's post, if you will, because you've signed your name over and you represent a brand or a station or a network. So you have to keep in mind that everything that you want to articulate, whether it's a personal opinion or fact, you need to just vet it through your mind and use your own personal filter to filter content. Example, if our president tweets, I am passing an executive order to raise minimum wage for Black people. Okay, that's not opinion, that's nothing passionate, there's no anger there. You could retweet that or perhaps comment on that, okay, we're moving forward, we're making progress. But if the president tweets, I am against Black Lives Matter, and all lives don't matter, I mean, it's just negative rhetoric, then you shouldn't retweet that because that's his personal opinion. And any retweet just simply your news director to pull you in because of a tweet. You wouldn't. I would say maybe use the hashtag, and that's it. Just hashtag Black Lives Matter. That's appropriate.
Right.
Sure, because it's a global trend. But if you type this entire novel that Black Lives Matter because XYZ, empowered to the people, as a reporter, you have to remain neutral. As hard, I know it's so hard because we want to share our thoughts. But remember, your platform represents that organization or that station. Now, if you have your own personal blog or like you're a Don Lemon, you can say whatever you want. You have your own show. That's different. Just keep in mind, you represent a brand, you represent a network. You have to be so careful. And even with politics, even around election season, it makes me nervous because, of course, I want to say vote for XYZ, but you can't do that as a journalist. You have to remain neutral. You can only report the facts, and that applies to social media. Now, let's go to reporting in the field. Let's say you're covering a protest, and you are just as furious as the protesters. Well, you can't say, I, Kamara, am furious because there's racial injustice in our country. No, you have to remember, you're a megaphone. As a reporter, you're a megaphone. You're a voice for the voiceless. So you would say he, she, or they said they are furious. So you always attribute that opinion or those facts and that anger to someone else. Just put it on someone else. And let's say you are upset. Well, go interview someone who feels the same way you do and then just use their soundbite in the story. That's how I always would approach it.
Right.
I remember when this was 2018? No, 2016, when President Trump was elected. I was on Fifth Avenue in New York City covering protests in front of Trump Plaza. Well, you know how that is. It was not pleasant. But I was very mindful to interview people who were for President Trump and who were against President Trump. I made sure my story was balanced, and I kept Lyndsay out of it. That's not my place, because I represented New York One News at the time, so it wasn't my place to interject my own personal thoughts.
But you are a megaphone.
You're a megaphone, so you're the voice for the voiceless. So you just report what other people are saying and how they're feeling and their reactions.
Right. And
okay, I think that was a long answer.
No, that was perfect, Lyndsay, because I know also, oftentimes, right, we are human, but we also have to understand, as a journalist is a person who reports facts. Plain and simple, that is the Webster's definition. You report facts. So when we have people, because there are journalists who are no matter what level or party, you always keep it balanced. You always have a
Always
pro
keep it
and you
balanced.
always
That's right.
have a con. Two
Right.
people, different opinions, because you represent the people in that community. Lyndsay, I really want you to dive into, you know, especially when people have strong opinions, even on blogs. How can they not get that to conflict with their news station job? Because sometimes we do see people who have been um, who have received consequence based on some things that in the past.
And are you saying an example is if you're assigned a story that you are completely against, if you're assigned content and you just disagree with that content and you have to report it, is that what you're asking?
What I'm asking is if somebody, because there are always a lot of journalists that have different blogs. If you have a blog and you begin writing independently about the story, although you were assigned a story in the field, but you begin to display your field is on your own platform, how can you ensure that you do not conflict with your main job?
That's a good one. A statement that I would post to my website or blog is a disclaimer that ABC does not own, has nothing to do with my thoughts, my opinions. ABC does not own the rights to this blog. These are strictly personal opinions of Kamara Daughtry. That disclaimer should protect you, but again, for me personally, I really tried to stay away from any personal blogging that could conflict with my job.
Right.
That way you don't create any type of tension. You don't put yourself in a bad place. I just avoided it at all cost. And I would just have conversations with friends or family if I really wanted to vent.
Also,
I wouldn't use Facebook to vent. I wouldn't use social media to vent as a journalist.
That is a good. Not use social media.
Now, if you're a freelancer, well, I can't even say freelancer. Anytime you're associated with a station, that station really, I would say, owns the rights to your content. So you just have to be so mindful. Just keep it factual. He said, she said, they said.
Yeah,
That's my professional opinion.
that is a good rule of thumb.
And I tell this to my college students too. Attribute and keep I out of it, because it's not your story to tell unless it's your own show, right?
And can you also explain, because people say, we have a group of journalists, veterans, news directors, managers, all the way down to people who are in college and some who are also in high school. But the difference between a CNN and, one of the big networks, freelancers, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and, Fox News, they're both cable. They play by different rules.
Right.
Broadcast, you're with the FCC. So can you just go a little bit over on the difference between broadcast and cable news? Because people do get that misconstrued in terms of what can be displayed, what people can say, and just the different rules.
So broadcast news under that umbrella is cable. It's just network. So Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, of course, they have more liberties and freedoms to express those networks' opinions. But if you work for a local ABC affiliate or NBC affiliate, you have to play by their rules. So it's a huge difference. Network, there's more freedom of expression on the network level or cable news net level, as opposed to your hyper-local news stations.
Right.
But even on the CNN level, we remember the story of the reporter who was the correspondent, I should say, who was arrested during the protest, right? He did share his personal feelings when the anchor asked, what was it like when they handcuffed you and you were polite and professional in handling the situation. What was that like? And then it was appropriate for him to say, well, I did the best I could. I showed my credentials, but he didn't spew hate or anything that was defamatory at all about the police who arrested him. But he did share his personal opinion. In that case, that's appropriate. If something is happening to you in the field, it's okay to express that in a professional way that doesn't defame someone else.
Right. And you know what? We actually have a question. Ladies
Okay.
and gentlemen, we are going to have 10 more minutes. So make sure you send me the question in the comments.
And I can hang around if we have more questions, because this is important.
Lauren, can you retweet/share articles from credible news sources, even if they support your opinion? And this is going for and negative side, because we do have to keep in terms of both. Because sometimes even what you feel is not it's a piece until you view. Keep that in mind.
Right.
Represent both sides.
And that's a good point, Kamar, and good question. It was from Lauren. Good question, Lauren. Read the article carefully, and if the article presents both sides of the story, then that's appropriate.
Okay.
Especially if it's retweeting CNN, because it shows that you as a journalist are doing your homework, you're doing your research, and you're staying on top of, some of the best news organizations in the world. So it just adds to your level of credibility. But read to make sure it's not an op-ed, which is a heavily opinion piece. But read to ensure that it covers both sides of the story. And it's fair.
Danielle, she asked this question. We briefly went over it, but for new people who are, this is very important. What if you're a journalist who also has a personal brand / blog related to your industry, aside from the work you do as a journalist from XYZ company? How do you keep those two separate? And a lot of people do have their own personal brands. We see that, which is excellent. But how do you keep it separate?
That is a challenge. Especially, well, a couple things. If you are a news reporter for WABC and your blog is entertainment focused, okay, that makes sense. That's fine. Your news would be entertainment focused. You could write about celebrities all day, and then in the field, you're a news reporter, you're reporting the news. Again, that disclaimer on your blog or website should be at the top, if not the bottom. It should be visible so that if your news director calls you in and says, hey, Kamara, I know that you have a personal blog. I was a little disturbed by what you posted. Well, Miss Jones, there's a disclaimer on my website that these thoughts are my own and these are my personal opinions, and this content does not connect or relate to WABC.
Right.
Still, just again, use that filter.
Right, and it's all about
sense, but use that filter. It's just vet it yourself to make sure that the content that you're posting on your personal site does not heavily conflict with what you're doing day to day at for XYZ station.
That's an excellent point. We also have another question. Destiny. She asked, what can be our out? Because we are new, we do have feelings. It's so hard to keep them bottled up. Let me chime in on that one. Destiny, there's a simple group chat. Whether it's NABJ, NABJ, any journalism organization, journalism from college. But there are multiple people that you can connect with, so you do have a built-in community. And it's also good to take a look, no matter what age you are, because we do a lot of there are a lot of images that come to our eyes and a lot of things that we see, a lot of people that we talk to. There is a time it is okay to separate. For our digital people up there, you must put down your step. Okay? So your outlet number one is at a certain time, you might need to spend an hour in the morning or at night not looking at your cell phone at all. Those are some key ways to make yourself balanced and healthy. Lyndsay, what do you say on how people can vent? Because we are human.
Mental health is so important. Mental health, meditation, and unplugging. I had to spend a few days this week. I just unplugged and deactivated social for a few days because there was so much noise And I just needed time to reflect and sit still and just think about everything that's happening personally and professionally, everything that's happening around the world. Sometimes we have to do that. Now, of course, if your station mandates you're posting every day, it's a little different.
Right.
But as Mara mentioned, there are safe spaces in which you can vent, Facebook groups in which there are no managers involved or news directors, if you will. But safe spaces, friends and family are also great resources.
And I'll just say also this: when it comes to this, it's not so much about news directors, general managers, even hiring managers. It's also about your community. Everybody has their own community, right? Everybody has the option to have people who relate to them. You are able to speak out loud, safe space, and connect with them. This is the Young Professional Network, the digital group over 4,000 people. So when it comes to your personal opinion, find that safe space. This is a safe space for you to receive career advice. In terms of giving your opinion, you want to find people to connect with you, no matter what end of the spectrum that you're on. Lyndsay, I want to ask you two quick questions.
Okay.
When we look at the climate today and everything that's going on, like you said, reporting the field, what would you recommend new journalists? How would you say, how to navigate through this time? What would you even say? You talk about giving your opinion, doing different interviews or articles, but how do we really just stay focused with so much going on?
That's a good question. Good question. I would say focus on one thing, right? There's a million things going on. Focus on one thing that you're passionate about. So if you're passionate about the Black Lives Matter movement, ask yourself, how can I best contribute to what's happening as a journalist? And you can interview people, and maybe it's through IG Live or Facebook Live. Interview people. Write stories that are fair and balanced, but use journalism as your outlet in a positive way, in which you are contributing positive journalism to what's going on right now. Or perhaps Gianna, George Floyd's daughter, is just pulling at your heartstrings, and you want to focus on her and how to support her and how she's coping through all of this. So your storytelling could shift to just focusing on Gianna. I always say, if you're passionate about something, use that as your focal point.
Right.
And just remember to keep it fair and balanced and keep eye out of it.
Yeah, that's very good. I see, because we cannot also get caught up in going viral. A lot of people want to go viral because they want the recognition, the eye out.
But go for something positive, right? So if you see Gianna, Reverend Al Sharpton, and is holding Gianna's hand, or they're praying together, or he's embracing her in a hug, perhaps that's the lead of your story, or that's the focal point of your story for the next few days. Go to your news director and say, hey, Mr. Jones, or hi, Miss Jones, I'd love to do stories that are about children of men who are killed at the hands of police.
Mm-hmm.
Could I use that could that be my angle for the week? Sure, Kamara.
Right.
You find something you're passionate about, and that can help you to kind of get through all of the noise that's happening.
Right. That is a good point. This is the last question, ladies and gentlemen. Professor L. Okay, that's what I call her. She is Educator. That's why you'll see me with glasses when I'm first.
And I didn't wear my professor. I was giving you lashes today. I didn't put on my professor glasses.
It's okay. Hopefully. How, I know a lot, this is our last question, ladies and gentlemen, but you can message Lyndsay separately and ask her a personal question. She is open, and she also provides consultation to college students who are journalists. But let me ask you to finish this. I'm on either side of the spectrum, and I have this story that I want to push, but my news director doesn't see it. They don't see the. Sometimes they just don't want to touch on the issue. because the opposing team is the majority of the market. How can I pursue this story? Either A, I do it on my own, but you say, no, I want to showcase this from leadership of the state. How can you do that?
So we know that there's a rundown for each newscast. And as we talked about in the news writing webinar, producing webinar.
Oh yeah, the producer.
There's only so much time for each newscast. And the top stories will be pushed to the top. They're the most important. And your story could be considered an evergreen or feature package. So here's what I'll say about that. Yes, be assertive and voice your opinion and voice your interest in doing a certain story that you're so passionate about. But just know you can't always get what you ask for. And if you have time, do it on the side or on the weekends on your own time, and then present it to the news director. Say, hey, Mr. Jones, Ms. Jones, I did the story after work on my own time. I'd really love for it to air. Can we slide it in? That could work too, because it's showing that not only are you doing your 9 to 5, but you're also going above and beyond to do a story you're really passionate about. And even say, hey, Mr. Jones, Miss Jones, what if we just posted it to digital? I think it would really perform well among our viewers. So if it doesn't air on the traditional broadcast, then also pitch it as a digital story for, we're always looking for digital content. Newsrooms always need content for digital. So pitch it to digital too.
Yeah, that is a good point. So, ladies and gentlemen, the buck does not stop with getting no, either because TV doesn't permit or,
Right.
Somebody tells you no. It's a judgment.
Right, and don't be discouraged. Just do it on your own time, because if you really, if you really want something, you do it. You go for it. So I wouldn't just, don't get discouraged by a no. Keep pushing until you get a yes, and maybe that yes is a digital story.
Right.
And then who knows, the EP might say, let's air it as our top story today. Right. You never know until you do it or you try, but don't get discouraged.
And there's also, when you're out in the field, capture that footage that you edit on the weekend, or just think outside of the box, innovative way. They say no,
Exactly.
you don't want to air this box. You can still post it on your personal. There is still journalism voice.
There's always a way around, a creative way, a professional way that won't get you fired. There's always a way if you're really passionate about it. But make sure the story is fair and balanced. I can't stress that enough. And what if it's posted to digital and that goes viral? Your news director is going to say, oh, I should have listened to you in the first place. But you just say, thank you.
Right. And viral for something good. Jay Jackson, she captured the police officer hugging and consoling the teenager.
Yes, I saw that, and it went viral, and Oprah commented. I was like, yes, Jade, that's how you do it.
Right.
So even if you can't do a full package about a subject matter, then post some video to Twitter.
Right.
And let's see how that performs.
Let's get creative. There's no excuses. There is too much YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Everything is at our disposal. And a lot of community journalists, some people, they don't like that word, but that is real. A lot of community journalists, a lot of people capture things when the reporter on different stories and different beats. That's how we have different stories. The George that goes viral, or just different things that people are able to post things. So I would say there is more than one way to skin a cat.
That's right.
So
this is true. Mm-hmm.
Just make sure, like I said, it's fair and balanced. And what's one last piece of advice, Lyndsay, that you would like to give? Navigating this new world.
Oh,
it's very new.
It's so new. Be creative. Practice your writing. There's so many opportunities, and the resources and the tools are right at your fingertips, i.e. use your phone. You can edit your own little packages. You can interview people through IG Live, Facebook Live. There's so much you could do through social media during this time. So get creative and, continue to sharpen your skills and continue to hone your writing skills. Writing is the most important and integral part of journalism. So just continue to use this time to practice and just get creative.
And we have been on live for 30 minutes.
Oh, that was 30 minutes? Okay.
Remember our goal? See, remember I thought it was going to be 3 hours. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Again, if you hear any apologies on the front end, but make sure that you gather information that Lyndsay has given is great. Can you give your opinion as a journalist? You want to make sure that you're always being fair and balanced. The definition of journalism is report to fact.
And you are a megaphone for the voiceless. So you report what they're saying, not how you're feeling.
It's very good to know. Thank you, Lyndsay, for your time. And where can people reach you? Twitter,
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Lynz, Lynz Christian TV. And I'm very responsive, so you can send me a message, and I'd love to answer any questions you may have.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
See you all later. Oh, and make sure you sign up for Thursday's live shot. Lyndsay,
Yes.
you were on it. You give more. Talk about that just a little bit more. The live shot class, it's going to be amazing. The link is a post at the top. So as soon as you go on the Opportunities Worldwide Facebook page, register. No matter if you are still at a shop meeting in the newsroom, or if you're a college student, high school student, make sure that you apply. Lyndsay,
Yes.
tell them how beneficial this webinar is going to be. It's going to be great.
Webinars, you will learn so much in an hour and a half. If you've joined the producer webinar, the news writing webinar, the how to put a package together webinar, and then this week Kristen Pope is facilitating and teaching live shots in a breaking news crisis. Because how are you reporting out in the field during protest or when it's breaking news? So it'll be extremely helpful and beneficial. Let me tell you, I know a lot of collegiates and attendees have learned more in these webinars than they have in like a semester on a college campus. Just saying, they're that good and they're very effective.
They are. So I will see you all later. Lyndsay, thank you for your time, and we will connect again. Make sure you all connect with her. And Danielle said, great. Sign up, y'all. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.